Welcome everyone to another CoH2 replay cast. I'm going to have a 1v1 on the Langrskaya, and I'm not sure if I have any audio on. I do. Good. So let's get this going. It's going to be sent in by Earth, spawning in the north, playing as Wehrmacht, and in the south, Last Nice, playing as the USF. So, Langrskaya, pretty interesting map. We have, obviously, free VPs if you've never seen this map, which I highly doubt it, but let's explain it out anyway. Free VPs and pretty sort of harassable positions, always contested, especially the one in the center because of all the negative cover, and in the west and east because of all the buildings. It's pretty easy to get in there and harass the enemy using the buildings to be very annoying, especially if you are spawning in the south. This building is pretty good to take, and if you're spawning in the north, this building. And the fuel points at the extreme corners of the map, they are pretty also easy to harass, so always need to protect them. Looks like Earth going for 1 Grenadier and 1 MG opening, pretty standard for a Wehrmacht player. Obviously, gonna want the MG on this map because there's a lot of open terrain and open line of sight where the machine guns, great arc of fire, especially the MG42 with that huge arc of fire. He can easily suppress a lot of enemies. Capping order, pretty normal. He's gonna send his Grenadiers to help out his engineers. Just pretty standard start. Let's see if he actually goes for more Grenadiers or something else later on. Whereas the Americans are going for a couple of Rifleman squads, pretty much exactly what I'd be expecting out of a American player on pretty much any map, but especially Langrskaya. You need to use your Riflemen to flank on this map because there's a lot of open terrain, again, like, as I said, so the machine guns are very much a problem for the USF player. Machine gun going to go in this building. Obviously, this building has a huge line of sight covering this strategic point and this munitions point. Also, this one strategic point in the south, but the MG does not exactly have the range to cover it. So right now, a pretty conservative play by Earth is going to mean that there isn't really much action right now. Let's see if Last Nice decides to do something out of the ordinary. In fact, it might be that because he's sending in a couple of squads in the north through this hedgerow. And in the center, he's going to have this one Rifleman squad just engage this Grenadier while he flanks with his Rifleman, trying to get probably to the cutoff point. Cutoff point, obviously, very much a famous little spot for this map. Very easy to take, especially for the southern player. The northern player also has a cutoff, this one, but it's not as prominent. Of course, this Grenadier squad really needs to retreat right now because there's a lot of really bad cover around here, and 3 Rifleman squads are there. 3 Rifleman squads and a right echelon, so yeah, he's gonna go down. That was a very late retreat by Earth, very unfortunate for him, and now the Riflemen are going to be able to easily take out these 2 Grenadiers if they manage to get into this heavy cover. Obviously, at close range, heavy cover doesn't really do anything. Cover is not applied. This one Rifleman squad should get closer. Oh, we actually have a grenade tech being upgraded by Last Nice. That was very weird. I don't really see grenades being just built so early, but the grenade being tossed, doing a little bit of damage to the Grenadiers, and not really exactly as he hoped. He probably hoped for a wipe, but unfortunately, now that the first grenade, sort of the surprise effect, has been expended, the next grenades are not going to be as not going to be catching Earth off guard. He's going to be able to much more easily be on guard and reposition his troops to avoid getting hit by grenades. Of course, he's going to bring up his machine gun to try and bottleneck the enemy into the base. This is probably a good decision. However, should be very careful to bring up the machine gun so far into the enemy base, especially when he lost 1 Grenadier squad, because he might get flanked, and his MG, if it gets decrewed and on this side of the map, it's going to definitely go to the American player. It's going to be pretty easy for him to capture it. So he needs to be very careful to not hand his machine gun over to Last Nice. Last Nice, obviously, having gone for the grenade tech, which is 25 fuel, he's not going to have enough fuel for a lieutenant early enough to actually get a M20 to counter this machine gun. M20 would be really good against the machine gun because, obviously, it cannot suppress the M20, duh. And with the armored skirts upgrade, the M20 pretty much is immune to the regular rounds. Of course, the armor-piercing rounds still destroy the M20, but if the M20 can get a good flank going on a machine gun, it can also pretty much decrew the machine gun in a few bursts of accurate 50 cal fire. Now, On the left side, we see that the Germans are starting to recover a little bit of map control and taking the harassment of the field point very seriously. This is obviously a good decision for Earth. He needs to sort of slow down the Americans as much as possible. We have a flank actually coming in from this one rifleman squad, and also from these riflemen. The MG should be targeted. Yes, it will be targeted on these guys, just leaving these guys be with their suppression. Of course, we have another rifleman squad coming in from the side, 4 rifleman squads, even a grenade coming in from the left. Going to deal a lot of damage to this machine gun, but it doesn't look like it will go down. It's very low on HP. It might go down, but it's so close to the German base that it really won't be that much of a easy grab for Last Nice. In fact, it may even be covered by this. Oh no, it's not covered by the base MG, but still, it won't be. Oh, actually, he's got an opportunity. He really should just dash for this MG42. If he can get the MG42, Earth will be in so much trouble because he really, really needs that unit. Oh, it will go to the Americans. The Americans should definitely retreat the machine gun as quickly as possible, and it will not go down. Excellent play by Last Nice. He will be in a very good position now to hold territory. We have an ambulance out of him, so it looks like he's going for the long game, really. He's not rushing any kind of tech. Obviously, both the grenades and the ambulance cost fuel, so he's not going to be rushing that lieutenant. He's probably going for the captain and probably going to go for the major as quickly as possible. I mean, he does have the heavy cavalry company and the armor company, which means he could delay the major and gets either a Pershing or a couple of M10s, but I still feel like at this point he's going to go for the major. His other doctrine is the mechanized company, which if you don't select the mechanized company pretty much as soon as the game starts, it's not going to be really that useful. Its main perk is the fact that you can withdraw and refit vehicles, so it's pretty good if you're going to get like early game vehicles like the M20 and the A half track, so that then when they are essentially not that useful anymore because the enemy has bigger units, then you can probably just withdraw and refit them. Now, Earth is going to go for a half-track from his Tier 2. Tier 2, obviously, very important building for the Germans. You get the 222 Scout Car, the pack, and the half-track. The half-track is not used all that much these days, but it can be a very good tool to hold the territory because, obviously, with the reinforcement on your infantry squads, you can do some very good work with the half-track. Now, looks like this one Grenadier squad is in trouble. There's a lot of riflemen over here. A few of them are actually vet up as well, so a lot of damage is going to be going down on these Grenadiers. He should have definitely gotten his riflemen to sort of position around here instead of around here. He would have been able to take out these Grenadiers had that been the case, and that probably would have been game over because Earth would have been left with only 2 Grenadier squads against 4 rifleman squads. Now, Last Nice hasn't gone for the weapon upgrades yet, and he does have a few munitions stockpiled, so he may actually want to go for some weapons. Actually, we have the Flame half-track upgrade on the 251 coming up quickly, and that's a really good decision because he needs some kind of way to deal with the blobs of riflemen and also to deal with the stolen MG. The stolen MG is not going to be any match for this Flame half-track because the Flame half-track, unless the MG can get the armor-piercing rounds going, the half-track will be able to easily roast it in basically half a second. Now, another anti-tank rifle grenade is coming down from these riflemen left flank, but it will not be enough to take out this half-track because there are no other units that are capable of damaging it in close vicinity. Now, we also have a pack coming in from Earth, and that's a good decision because right now he's losing on essentially units and he's losing on map control. So essentially he's expecting a vehicle from the Americans, but unfortunately for him, the Americans don't seem to be going for any kind of vehicle anytime soon. We do have the Captain Tech coming in from Last Nice, and that will be, well, probably a pretty decent decision to counter the half-track because the Captain can get the bazooka. Only one bazooka, obviously, since the patch, but it's still better than nothing. He should definitely also go for the AT gun. 57mm would be really good to counter this one half-track because obviously the 57mm with its range can deal a lot of damage to the half-track before the half-track can respond with its flamethrower, because the flamethrower on the half-track is pretty long-ranged, but it's not as long-ranged as an AT gun. Finally, the Americans will send in a rear echelon troop. They have recaptured their field point, and also they're capturing some points on the left side of the map, which is obviously really good. One thing that Last Night should really do is send one of these rifleman squads over to the fuel point on the right side of the map, just to deal some damage to Earth's resource scattering. Obviously, also the victory point would be a pretty good target to harass, because if he can cap that victory point, then Earth will be at 0 VPs and there will be a triple cap going against them, which will essentially slow down Earth, because he will need less. Well, no, he will require more time to actually get back from this horrible sort of base spin that he's inflicting on him. And if he can deny that time by capturing the VP and getting a triple cap going, then that would be really good for him. We have another machine gun coming in from Earth. Probably a good purchase, because he needs some way to control these riflemen. Honestly, these riflemen are just kind of running amok among his units, and he needs some way to counter that as quickly as possible, or else he will pretty much just die, and he does not want to do that because death is not very fun. Now, we see a Steward coming in from Last Nice. I feel like the Steward is not exactly the best decision. He knows that there's a pack on the field for Earth, and soon enough there will be some kind of later game units coming out of him. Earth does have 2 doctrines with the Tiger, and he does have a fair resource base. Now, the fuel income wasn't interrupted because of the cap of the fuel point, but it was interrupted because of the cap of the cutoff point over here. So that's going to be very good for Last Nice. He's definitely needs to slow down Earth as much as possible. And a nice flame half-track coming in, going to roast these riflemen, very, very tasty. And along with the machine gun, these riflemen really need to retreat as quickly as possible. We also see a Grenadier squad kind of hidden out of the way. I'm not sure as to what it is doing. It should definitely capture the victory point with it. We actually see that there's a tunnel mine. Stewart will very, very narrowly avoid the tunnel mine, very close. Flame half-track is actually at vet 3, and the Steward is trying to rush in and dive at the Flame half-track, but that's not a good idea because there's the AT gun, and that was very lucky for the Steward that the AT gun missed, along with, I'm not sure where these Grenadiers went. They could have definitely done a good job by Panzerfausting this Steward, but they didn't, and we actually see that these Grenadiers over here could be close enough to get a Panzerfaust going. They should definitely change their course and intercept the Steward. There is a Panzerfaust. Okay, good. So Panzerfaust will damage the engine. He could use his pack gun to actually come in and destroy it. We actually see a Puma coming in from the mobile defense doctrine just to counter the Steward. And obviously it is a pretty good counter, but he definitely needs to be wary of the fact that the anti-tank rifle grenades from the riflemen will deal engine damage on the Puma. And if the Puma takes engine damage, then the Steward can pretty easily take it out. Unfortunately, because he was on... Wait. So the half-track died. I'm not sure as to how. Oh! We actually see some incendiary armor piercing rounds. They're going to deal a huge amount of damage to this Puma, despite the fact that the rifleman manning the gun just manages to take out the Puma before he dies. Heroic sacrifice, hero of America. Going to take out both the Flame half-track and the Puma. Excellent job with that MG by Last Nice. Again, this just sort of evidences the fact that you always need to be wary of your MGs falling into the enemy, because the MG42 is pretty much one of the most devastating weapons in this entire game, especially against infantry and light vehicles. You don't want that on the enemy team. And right now, this is also really bad because of another reason. Earth had a pretty good stockpile of resources and used 80 of his fuel stores to get that Puma, and 270 manpower to get that Puma, and he was not able to use them in any kind of good way, especially because his Steward, Last Night's Steward was on, well, the crew was out to repair. So essentially what the Puma was doing is it came in and it did not see any enemy units because it was on hold fire against infantry. It was only on prioritized vehicles. So it was not firing at the crew, and if he had taken out at least 2 guys of the crew, they would not have been able to recruit the Steward, because you need 3 guys to recruit the Steward. So if you would have had the Steward not on hold fire against infantry, he might have been able to take out the crew. And then, since the Steward was obviously a neutral thing, it was not getting fired on by the Puma. What Earth should have done was pay attention to his Puma a little bit more, because he was sending in an enemy territory. There could have been mines, there could have been riflemen taking it out with anti-tank rifle grenades. And what would have been really nice for him to do was just attack move the Steward and then kill it that way. But he did not do that, and that was a terrible mistake, and he will be pretty much paying the consequences of that, because there's also an M10 on the field for Last Night. I feel like this is a mistake. He could have gone for the Pershing. Pershing at 13 CPs would have been pretty reachable at this point in the game, and of course, going for a Major into a Sherman or a Jackson into a Pershing would have been pretty hard to counter for Earth because he went for mobile defense doctrine, which is pretty much the equivalent of the armor company. And really good, actually, well, more than a really good play with the AT gun, there was a really bad play with the Stuart, just standing in the AT gun's fire. You don't want to be doing that. He could have easily just walked, or rather drove, through here, and then come here from, like, yeah, go around the AT gun, come in on the other side of this building, and just get out. I'm not sure as to why he decided to just fight the AT gun head on. And we actually see that the M10 is taking a lot of damage from the mine and a Panzerfaust. These Grenadiers should definitely chase. They have the Panzerfaust recharging in 6 seconds. They would be able to easily take out this M10. No, what are you doing? He would have been able to take out the M10. He's gonna come in with a Puma. No, no. The Puma is not a good idea. He should have gone for the command tank. The command tank would have been much better because he would have been able to use that. Good job with the Puma, taking out the M10. But, okay, very lucky that he will not take an anti-tank rifle grenade from these riflemen. If that had gone down, this Puma would be dead because of the captain and also the swarm of riflemen with anti-tank rifle grenades. Looks like the machine gun will actually be recrewed by Last Nice, which is obviously a really good thing because it will help him contain these Grenadiers, and it will help him also sort of not have that machine gun on the enemy hands. We also have 2 machine guns coming in from Earth. One was rebuilt a little bit earlier, and while one he's building now, I feel like that is not the best decision he could go for. At this point, the Americans probably should go for a bulldozer. I know that sounds a little bit weird, but he knows that Earth has spent 160 fuel on Pumas. And so, since he knows that, then he should probably just make 2+2 and know that he will not have a heavy tank anytime soon, so the bulldozer will be better against the infantry and the support weapons. Obviously, it's a little bit of a gamble going for the bulldozer because the bulldozer is kind of RNG dependent. It is a vehicle that can do a huge amount of damage, and it is a vehicle that can do basically nothing the entire game if it decides to not really be in your favor. Now, one good thing that Last Nice has gone for right now is the weapon rack upgrade on his HQ. Obviously going to mean that these riflemen are going to be upgraded with bars. Looks like 2 bars on one squad. Okay. 1 bar on this squad. And 1 bar on this squad. Yeah, so it looks like 4 bars are on the field for the Americans. That will definitely help them out in dealing with these Grenadiers. We see a bit of a flank failing. I'm not sure as to why. Yeah, again, Earth is in a little bit of a pickle in terms of munitions. He definitely wants to plant more mines, but he does not exactly have the munitions to do that. Good usage of the smoke grenades. Obviously, these smoke grenades have actually been really good from the Americans. I've pretty much forgotten to mention that, but really good job from Last Nice using those smoke grenades to his advantage. We have a flank from this one rifleman squad. This one rifleman squad should definitely try to take out this AT gun. All these rifleman squads should take out the AT gun, because this AT gun is pretty much the only reason why this M10 cannot just charge the Puma and take it out in a couple of shots. Because the M10 has a much better reload time than the Puma. M10 can fire pretty much twice as fast as the Puma. Not exactly sure as to what the numbers are, but it definitely feels like that. So, yeah. Good job taking out the cutoff point for the Germans. But at this point, I feel like the cutoff is not as valuable as the VP on the right side of the map. So yeah, that should be the #1 priority for these riflemen. And I'm not sure what that retreat is all about. He could have just waited with the smoke grenade. He could have waited behind the smoke and shaken off the suppression. But I feel like he made a bit of a mistake. He's winning the battles, but he's not really going for the points. Finally, he's going to send his rear echelon squads to capture the right side of the map. And the fact that he went for a second M10 instead of a bulldozer, I feel like is going to come in and bite him in the ass, because yes, a couple of Pumas will take out the bulldozer, but the bulldozer is one of the American units that has this one rifleman, or sorry, Pioneer. It's gonna go down, and there's another mine taking out the engine of the M10, and again, the M10 is gonna go down from the Puma. I was gonna say, essentially, the bulldozer is one of... No, Chase! What are you doing? Why did you stop? I feel like Earth is using his units on attack round. Actually, nice, not attack round, attack move. Nice attack round, but unfortunately will miss. Yeah, good job by Last Nice actually coming back. Instead of doing the predictable thing and going to the base with the M10, he's gonna essentially try to fool the Puma, and in fact the Puma is going to go down to the captain's bazooka and the anti-tank rifle grenades of the rifleman. Again, if he would have just moved it up, I feel like he's playing a lot more conservatively when he needs to be playing aggressively, and playing very conservatively when he needs to be playing aggressively. I feel like, though, at this point, this is going to be a good thing, because Earth is going to go for the command tank, and the command tank is going to help out his Grenadiers much more than the Puma support would. Of course, we actually have a sniper from Earth. I feel like that's a mistake. I feel like Earth could have gone for a 4th Grenadier squad, or a... he needs another Pioneer, so that's 200 manpower. And that pretty much leaves him with 160 manpower, and then he could have gone for a Grenadier or a what could he have gone for? Another MG would be a little bit superfluous. So yeah, no, another Grenadier. So he could have had 4 Grenadier squads and a Pioneer, or perhaps 2 Pioneers, and then gone to Panzer IV. Panzer IV is obviously a really good decision. He should definitely retreat. Yeah, retreat as quickly as possible from all those bars. Bars are actually up to a lot of veterancy, which is not good for the Germans. 1 vet-free squad and 2 vet-2s. Obviously, when the riflemen get to vet-free, they get a lot of bonuses, so you don't want riflemen to be up to vet-free. And this is really good getting out the Panzer IV, because he's going to be able to use that Panzer IV to deal a lot of damage to these rifleman hordes that Last Nice is using. Finally, Earth will be able to recapture the points on the right side of the map. And right now the VP situation is pretty much even. So yeah, finally also a bulldozer coming out of Last Nice. Where is it? I can't find it. Good. It's over here. It's going to be able to deal a lot of damage to these Grenadiers, especially when they clump up into cover. And also against the machine guns, it's going to be much better than the M10. M10 is only good against infantry if it's like a blobby type of infantry. For example, the Volksgrenadiers. Volksgrenadiers are very vulnerable to the M10, because the M10 can just come in and run them over. And also Panzer Grenadiers blobbed up and Grenadiers blobbed up, but Earth is not really blobbing up his Grenadiers, which is obviously really good. The sniper is actually in a little bit of a scary position with the bulldozer looking down right at him. He can actually see the sniper, but looks like Last Mile will be playing a little bit conservatively with the bulldozer. He's scared of the AT gun, and he's scared that in this position he cannot really see over these houses. So he's basically scared that some Grenadiers are going to sneak up on him and Panzerfaust him in the behind, and he does not want it to happen, obviously, because that would be rape. He needs to call the police, but he's a Sherman. He's very big and fat. He will not be able to run away. And again, what I was trying to say earlier about the Sherman, but I wasn't able to say, is that the Sherman bulldozer has pretty much the highest amount of HP out of any American tank that's not pushing. He's going to fire at the sniper, and he's also going to use the coaxial machine gun to shoot at it, but he does not have the pintle-mounted machine gun upgraded, because he needs to use all his munitions to upgrade his riflemen. His riflemen right now are a big drain on his manpower income, which is, well, obviously the problem of the USF that always arises in the late game. When you start to lose your grip on the amount of riflemen you have, especially if you have something like 4 riflemen, which with a captain is not even that many, you start to lose a lot of manpower, and so Last Nice is not going to be able to use as much of his resources as he would be able to normally. Now, right now, looks like these rear echelons are being used really correctly in some decapping action on the sides, but unfortunately the vehicle crews that were, not sure which tank died with the vehicle crew out. I'm actually really not sure, but yeah. Oh, this first M10? Yeah, I feel like that was the first M10. So still, that vehicle crew could be used on the flanks to capture the flanks, but he's not doing that. He's only doing that with the rear echelons. So the sniper actually has 8 kills, which is pretty good, and we have a M10 on the field. He should definitely wait on launching that M10 against the enemy until he's got a second M10, because M10s are a bit of a group animal. They are much better in groups and sort of blobbed. I know that's kind of weird, but they're much better blobbed up. Unfortunately, this was a bit of a problem with these riflemen. He keeps running into these machine guns. The free machine guns, actually, Earth managed to recapture this one machine gun, and that's really good. The free MGs are dealing a lot of damage to his infantry, and in fact, his infantry assault will completely fail. One of his rifleman squads will go down to the sniper. Really good job. using the fire incendiary armor piercing round on the sniper to guarantee the kill on the retreating rifleman. Really good play by Earth, and that was a vet-free rifleman squad. He cannot replace that in any kind of way because these Grenadiers will just mow down the riflemen at long range, and I feel like Last Nice really needs to take out this Panzer IV. Again, the Command Panzer IV giving those bonuses out to the German Grenadiers. It may not be doing a lot of direct damage with its weapons, but it's doing a lot of indirect damage by buffing the Grenadiers and making sure that the Grenadiers win the infantry engagements against the allies. And right now, Earth is using his advantage much better than Last Nice was using his advantage earlier. He's just all over the map. He's taken the left side multiple times, even when he was backed up into his base. And right now that he does have the advantage, he's not having any mercy. Taking the fuel point, taking the victory point, and that's pretty much how you play when you're ahead. Not what Last Knife was doing. Last Knife was just pretty much going for the cutoff, retreating. That's what he was doing. And what he should have done instead was focus a lot more on the right side along with the cutoff. So essentially you go on two sides and you make sure that the enemy does not have enough forces to essentially defend everywhere, because you cannot defend everywhere. Actually, wow, Pioneers of the Bar. Okay. So the bunker will go down. Bunker behind the HQ is actually the better choice. There's a video online somewhere, you can look it up to actually explain as to why. I'm not gonna do it because it's a little bit long explaining that. So we see a flank coming in from these M10s, but it will be a kind of a shitty flank because the AT gun will be able to easily reposition, and there's actually a Panzer Grenadier squad with Panzer Treks. That will be a very, very bad thing to run into for the American armor. This Panzer IV will probably be best served not really running away that much. These M10s will definitely go down to Panzerfausts. One Panzerfaust coming in, and the second Panzerfaust along with the Panzer Treks fire will take out the M10. The Bulldozer is alive with just a little bit of HP, and the AT gun will take out the last M10. So that was a really good trade for the Germans. He can instantly replace this command tank, and the M10s will not be able to be replaced in any kind of way because that was 600 manpower and 180 fuel. He's only got 90 fuel about, so he's only got enough fuel to replace one of his M10s. He does not have enough manpower to replace one of his M10s. Whereas that was 125 fuel and 360 manpower, which are readily available to Earth. So really good trade in both. When you're looking for a trade, you're looking into two things. You're essentially looking into just the cost of the units that got killed. So a little bit of a superficial sort of immediate cost to the trade. And then you're looking into the resource sort of resource cost comparatively to how many resources are in the stockpile of both players. Essentially, what ability both players have to replace what was lost. And right now, that was a good trade in terms of both of those parameters for Earth. So obviously, this will be a really, really good time for Earth to essentially just consolidate and just continue to push slowly but surely, because essentially Last Night does not really have anything to stop the juggernaut that is the infantry for the Germans. In fact, the Panzer Grenadiers managed to get 2 levels of veterancy in that engagement, because remember, when these infantry squads have anti-tank weapons and are able to fire at vehicles, they gain experience much more quickly because it's just quicker to shoot at vehicles. They do much more damage than the infantry. So getting that vet 2 is going to be really nice for his Panzer Grenadiers, and in general, his units are much better vetted up than the American ones. One of the riflemen got replaced by Last Night, but I feel like that's a mistake. I feel like going for some more M10s would be a better decision right now. And the Bulldozer wasn't really used correctly. He should have used the smoke screen to avoid the AT gun firing at all his vehicles. And also, when the M10s flank, they should definitely flank in a way that's sort of putting them in as little danger as possible. Not through the center. Through the center is not that best way to flank. Of course, he could have done worse. He could have gone in from here. But going in from here is still pretty scary because there's a lot of infantry over here. What probably would have been much better for Last Night would have been a flank coming in from this side. A wide flank, trying to avoid the Grenadiers as much as possible, or trying to run them over as much as possible. But unfortunately, he will not do that, and he will surrender. Now, I feel like the surrender was not really warranted. He could have probably clawed back slowly but surely, especially using his bulldozer to deal as much damage as possible to the German infantry, try to take out the veterancy, especially trying to take out the veterancy, trying to take out the anti-tank gun crew, and follow it up with an M10 push to take out command Panzer IVs. But he decided to surrender. Now, I feel like his biggest mistake in this game was really not going for that heavy cavalry company. Heavy cavalry company is excellent on Langorskaya. The Pershing would have been able to easily take out these German vehicles at long range, and he would have been able to use that Pershing also to sort of do some sniping at long range against the anti-tank gun. However, he decided to go for the Armored Company. The Armored Company, while also a really good company on Langorskaya because of the wide open fields that can be used by the M10s to flank, it's exactly the mirror of the Mobile Defense Company. And while the Mobile Defense Company doesn't really give you quite as much sort of immediate combat power as the M10 and the Bulldozer, with the indirect buffs that you can get from the command tank, you can make sure that your overall army is going to be able to beat the stock army of the Americans. And so having that heavy cavalry company with the Pershing, just to try to force away the Panzer IV, force away the infantry at long range, that would have been really, really good for less nice. But alas, he was not able to use that correctly. I feel like also an AT gun out of him would have been excellent. AT guns were definitely lacking out of him, and also perhaps a pack howitzer, or perhaps some mortars to deal with these machine guns would have also been really good for him. But unfortunately, he was not able to do that, and he was defeated in the end. So I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, I hope you learned something, and I'll see you soon.